problem.
Okay. Hello, bonjour, Moroi, Jambo, Sanibonani, Ninjani. Welcome to another episode of Catch Up. Today I've got a very famous gentleman, Lerato Lights Out Dlamini. He's a former IBF youth champion, former WBC international champion, WBC featherweight champion. His record stands at 15-1 with 7 KOs. He's ranked number 23 featherweight in the world by BoxRec, as well as number 18 pound fighter in Africa by BoxRec. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, Mr. Dlamini.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let's start from the top. How did you get into the sport?
Oh man, I got into the sport because of my upbringing. Growing up in the townships, and sport is the only thing that can take you out of the street.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I chose boxing.
You chose boxing. How young were you?
I was 10 years old. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, 10 years old.
When it all started.
Yeah, when it all started.
And your fondest memory of you boxing?
Like when I was an amateur or when I was a pro?
Anything. Maybe even when you were still 10, 11, was there a guy that knocked you out? Maybe you lost a tooth when you were 11 or something?
Nah, like actually, I lost my first fight. My first boxing amateur fight, I lost it. Hey, I lost it, and then 8 years later, I got my revenge.
On the same guy?
Yes, on the same guy. They beat me in my first fight.
And the name Lights Out, did you get that from the start of your career, or was that
No.
something that you grew into?
No, actually, I got the name Lights Out after I beat this guy called Sinatemba Bam. He was undefeated at the time. He had 10 fights, 0 losses. And I beat him. I knocked him out in the 7th round to win the vacant IBF Youth World title. It was back in 2017. And after that, I got the name Lights Out. And that knockout, it was nominated for Knockout of the Year, which I won.
Yeah, I remember it went viral. It went viral for some time, yeah.
Yeah, and then I won the award for that knockout.
And so the name stuck.
The name Lights Out. Yeah.
All right. Do you like it? Would you change in the future?
No. It's gonna remain. I like it.
All right. No problem.
Everywhere I go, it's out. Yeah.
Lights out. All right. So how often do you look at the boxing rankings? And are you bothered by what you see?
Every day. Yeah. Every single day. Maybe like 4 or 6 times a day. I check the ratings every single day. When I wake up, I check it. Before I go to sleep, I check it. It's like every day. That's the first thing that I do in the morning when I grab my phone. I check the ratings.
Okay, all right. That's an interesting. Some other fighters would say they're not bothered by it. What's the number for you in terms of the rankings? What's the number that you'd like to see yourself sitting on?
Well, let's talk about you mentioned BoxRec, okay? So BoxRec is well, in BoxRec, I want to see myself in the top 10, okay? I want to see myself in the top 10, and then I'm highly rated in the WBC top 15. I'm number 3 in the world. So I wanna see myself being at least number 1, in the WBC ratings, and then get a world title shot, But so far, like I'm genuinely happy, but I want more. I can't settle for those numbers. Yeah,
I'd like to just put it on the record that I do believe you deserve more, and with the work that you're putting in, talk to me about that. In trying to sort this out, there's so many training sessions that you're going through. Is there something cooking? Is there a fight coming up soon? Or is this the pace that you just operated?
Not really. Like, I just come back from a fight. I was fighting 2 weeks ago. So now I took a 2-week break. After my fight, I went on holiday, and then glad to be back this week. It's just to get the momentum going. Because at this level, I can't I can't relax, like I might get a phone call tomorrow saying that I have a fight. I'm fighting for a world title in like 6 weeks or 4 weeks, and then like I would have to turn it down because I would be unfit. So I don't want to see myself in that position where I let such opportunities slide.
No,
So I have to be prepared. Yes,
that
I
only
have to be
makes sense.
prepared for anything. Yeah.
And yeah, when we first initially opened up conversations about bringing you on the show, you on holiday, you've just spoken about the holiday. Um,
Yeah.
how important is rest for you, and how big of a contribution does rest make to you being mentally switched on when fights are coming up?
Well, rest is very important because when I'm in training camp, hey, it gets lonely sometimes. Training camps get lonely. Training camps are long. I don't socialize with people. I'll just go to the gym, come back, eat, sleep later, go back. It's just the same thing for like 6 weeks, 9 weeks, doing the same thing when I'm
Yeah,
on camp. So a
yeah,
holiday, at least I get time to spend with my family, or with my girlfriend. It's just I get time to unwind, and live a normal life. I get time just to gain a bit of weight. I can eat whatever I want to eat. I can eat like a normal person. Unlike when I'm on camp, I have a certain diet that I have to follow for 9 weeks.
mm,
You know, so like I have to stick to that diet for 9 weeks. So after fight, it's just to relax. Just to socialize, and also it just tells me like what I'm doing this for. For such moments and seeing my parents happy. They're like, I'm doing so well with my boxing career, and like I want more. So they also, motivate me, tell me that okay, champ, you are doing well, but I want to see you holding a green belt,
yeah,
a green and gold belt. So just rest is very important, very
yeah.
very important.
Understood, understood. You spoke a little bit about fight camp. What does fight camp look for you? I mean, do you isolate yourself away from your family? When you look from an American context, some of the fighters go to the Big Bear Ranch to go and work out during fight camp. What's fight camp for you? Do you work in the gym, come back home, and then closer to the fight, you go away, or are you away from the family the whole time?
Well, I'm actually from the Free State. Hey, so my family, like, they are in Free State, welcome. So when I come to Joburg, it's strictly boxing.
Okay.
Okay, it's strictly boxing. Yeah. So it's like when I'm here, like my mind ultimately switched. Like I'm here to box. I'm here to chase my dreams. So fight camp is just to go to the gym every single day. Okay, Monday until Saturday. I put on the hours in the gym. I don't go out to nightclubs. I don't party, and like I don't have friends here in Joburg. My friends they are in Free State. So for me, if I can be just to go to the gym, come back, sleep, later go to the gym. It's just boxing.
Right,
Like that's it.
right. Understood, understood. And
Yeah.
when you have a fight that's booked, what are the first three things that you do? When they call you and they say, okay, you're fighting so and so on such a day, what are the first three things that you actually make sure are in place for you to be successful?
Okay. Okay. Well, first thing I do, okay. My manager he will send me the guy's name. He will send me his record, and then I go and check out his record. Uh, so that's the first thing I do. I
Okay.
check his record. Yeah, and then I check his fights on YouTube if he has any fights on YouTube,
Okay, scouting the
and
opposition.
also yeah, and also I check the articles of the journalist about him.
Okay.
So those are the three things that I do. Yeah, once the fight has been announced.
Alright. And what type of a mentality does one need to become a professional boxer? Based on the three things that you've just mentioned now, it seems like you need to be mentally prepared. You need to be a sharp individual that's always learning about who you're facing. Watching tape. What else needs to go into one's mentality? Because it's not easy to wake up every day, train the way you do, and wake up on certain days to go and fight. It's not only that you're punching someone, you're also getting punched. you're taking some punishment, you're
Yes.
handling some punishment. So what type of mentality does one need to make it at the pro level, from your opinion?
Well, it's belief. It's belief. It's self-belief. You have to believe in yourself, and also you have to be self-motivated. Because my trainers, they don't call me each morning and tell me to go for a run. No, I do so by myself. So it's just self-belief, self-motivation, and you gotta be disciplined. You have to be disciplined because discipline can take you places. Discipline can take you places that motivation can't take you.
Okay.
So discipline is key. Yeah.
So self-belief and discipline are the two
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Two major things.
And in terms of your previous fights, what have been your favorite fights? If I can say your top three, because you've got
And
a lot
top
of
three.
wins,
Okay.
eh? You've got a lot of wins.
Yeah.
Way more wins than you
I
have
got
losses.
I have 15 wins and 1 loss.
Yeah.
So my favorite moment, it was when it was in 2017. You see the year 2017. That's where I can say, yeah, that was my breakthrough year to introduce myself in the local boxing world and also internationally. Because in 2017, when I won my first title, like the guy that I was fighting, he was undefeated. He was a prospect. Okay, like everybody was talking about him, and then I knocked him out. And then the same year, it was a Super 4 tournament. I fought against a former unified world champion. His name is Simpue Vejega.
Mm-hmm.
That guy, he was a good fighter back in his days. He fought against one of the best fighters and he beat them. He was highly rated in the WBA ratings, and me as a youngster coming up, I had 9 fights with 1 loss at the time when I was fighting him, and he had 34 fights and 33 wins, and 29 wins, and with only 3 losses and 1 draw. So if you can check the stats, I was the underdog going to that fight, and then I beat him. I beat him. I couldn't believe that I just beat former unified world champion. With the fights that I had, the experience that I had, and I was the underdog, man. Yes, it's like everybody was writing me off, but then like I proved the people wrong and I proved myself right. So
Yeah.
that was 2017 was just a good year for me and the best year, like in my career so far.
But I'm sure you're planning to oust that year and have a better year
Yeah,
in the future.
yeah, like I'm planning because 2017 I had 3 fights, and they were all wins, good tough fights that built me up. And ever since 2017, I've only fought twice, and then last year I only fought once because of the pandemic. And then this year, I'm looking to get maybe 3 fights this year. We shall see.
And in terms of this prospect that you're talking about, that the press was highly touting him, etc. Do you read such stuff after the fight, or are you that guy who's on social media a week before the fight just to see what people are saying, maybe trying to get some extra motivation from what journalists would be saying about your opponent, or maybe about what to expect from you?
No, I'm on social media. Like I just want to say because I read that, like I'm on social media all the time. I read the press, like the articles and what people are saying. You see, like when people doubt me, like it really motivates me. It's the fuel. I use that as fuel. So like I like to read those articles. I like to watch how like people are predicting the fights. And then like it just motivates me. Like it's fuel. Like it just gives me that extra push. Like, okay, so people are doubting me. I'm gonna prove them wrong. Like that underdog mentality is very important.
So you're
And I
always
like
fighting
being the
with the
underdog.
you fight with a chip on your shoulder. Do you fight angry? Some
Yeah.
fighters like to, go into the ring angry. Do you fight angry?
No, I never go to the ring angry, because if you fight angry, you're gonna make mistakes, silly mistakes, and then you're gonna pay the price. So me, I don't fight angry. I just fight with my heart, and then I use my mind. I never take, even if I get caught with a big punch. I calm myself, because I know that I'm gonna get a chance to hit the guy. He's also gonna feel my power, so there's no need for me to be angry.
And for those who probably haven't watched your fights, how would you describe your style, your fighting style?
Well, I'm an all-rounder, right? Meaning, like, I can fight on the back foot, I can fight on the front foot, okay, and I can counter punch, and I can also be defensive. I can also be offensive. I'm just an all-rounder. A very, very solid fighter, world-class fighter. I mean, my record says it all.
No, definitely. I like that you're using that term world class. With 15-1, you
So,
did say that,
yeah,
you like making people pay the price, and you are one stingy fighter. You don't pay anyone the price. You've
yeah,
only got one loss to your record. But in terms of
yeah.
when you're looking at the South African landscape, is there anyone who's closer to home that you're looking to fight next, or are you trying to look out there abroad, maybe get a fight that will actually catch the international press?
Well, like locally, I'm done. Hey, you see, after I beat Vejega, locally, like that was my end. Like that was the end of an era for me, with like in terms of fighting guys locally. Like, I'm done. Like locally, like hence I'm number one in my weight division locally. You know, and like my only opposition is overseas guys, is world champions. Guys who are rated highly in the top 15. Those are my opposition. Like locally, there's no competition for me.
I see you've fought abroad once, Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken. How was the
Yeah, it was
experience? How was the experience going out there for fights? Because the rest of your fights were back home here in different venues, but how
yeah.
was it fighting abroad? Did it come with any extra pressure?
Yo, 2019, when 2019 was like that fight, it came at a good time for me, because I wasn't getting any fights. I wasn't, like, I remember I wasn't fighting for 9 months when that fight came. My last fight was in October of 2018 against the Tanzanian. And then nothing came after that. So it was a bit frustrating year for me. But then my trainer was like, listen, man, I'm planning something. Just give me time. Because I had two fights that got cancelled, in 2019. So when that fight came, I remember I was lying in my bed, frustrated, like, hey, what's happening? And then my manager contacted me. He was in China. He called me with a WhatsApp call, told me that we got an offer. I'm like, what? An offer? Yes. Why? Saudi Arabia, you're fighting a guy who's undefeated. 15 fights, 0 losses, 13 knockouts. Okay. Send me his record, and they're paying me big money. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Just send me his record. And then when I checked his record, his opposition compared to my opposition, his opposition was white. Like, he was fighting guys that had more wins that had more losses than wins. So I was like, this guy's not gonna beat me. And I had 6 weeks of training, and I was very fit going to the fight. So the boxing world, like, again, I was the underdog, because this guy was undefeated, man. Imagine 15 fights, no losses, 13 wins by knockout. His father and uncle are former world champions. And he's trying to follow their footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like yo. So imagine all the pressure, and I was watching his fights. I saw that he's a big puncher, but he doesn't have the skills that I have. He just comes forward, he sit on his punches and whatnot. He's not a clever boxer. Defensively, he's not good. So I just knew that I was gonna win that fight. And actually, the fight, it was on the undercard of American.
Yeah,
He's a yeah. So
the British
it was
boxer.
a good yeah. So it was a big exposure for me. It came at the right time. Cause I was hungry, man. I was hungry, and I knew that after I win that fight, it's gonna bring a lot of exposure for me. I'm gonna get bigger fights. You know what I mean? And also in the WBC ratings, I'm gonna go up because I was number 11 in the WBC ratings at the time.
Yeah.
I was number 11, yeah. So I knew that after winning this belt, I'm gonna be at least in the top 5.
Hmm.
So my motivation was
Very
just
high.
to prove everybody wrong. Yeah, very high because imagine, man, like 2018, I only had 2 fights. It was a bad year for me, and then here comes this big opportunity, a big payday, like big exposure. Like I'm like, you know what? After this, a lot of doors are gonna open. So my motivation was just to go out there and do my best. Not just to win the fight, but win it impressively. Because when you go abroad, some judges, they rob boxers.
Mm.
Yeah. So my thinking was, I'm just gonna win this fight clean. I'm not gonna be careless. I'm just gonna go out there and just perform, and that's what I did. You know. That's what I did. Even guys locally, they were writing me off, saying that I'm gonna get knocked out. Saying that this guy Lerato, man, he's nothing. Imagine having to read those comments. I remember a day before the fight, there was this article that came out saying that the headline was Dlamini back in the ring after 9 dry months. That was the headline. And as I was reading the article, the journalist, he didn't write nothing good about me. The whole article was about my opponent,
Yeah.
And
And
this is
that's
a
back
local
home.
man.
That's a journalist from here,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, from here back home. Like, I'm like, man, so I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Like, I'm gonna win. Because, like, I don't go into a fight having doubts. I don't doubt myself. Like, I'll win the fight way before the fight even happens. I'll win the fight in my mind. So I already knew that this fight, like, it's in the bag. Just gonna, and then like when I read things like that, like they just motivate me even more. And they don't discourage me. They motivate me like so much. Yo, like I feed into the negativity. I feed into that, and I think that's why I'm on a 15th winning streak. Like because of that, like I feed into that. That's why like I'm working hard every day, every day.
But you've mentioned a few points that I want to just touch on before we wrap up. You've mentioned about how when boxers go abroad, the judges seem to unfairly, especially if you leave it towards a decision. They
No.
leave it a bit unfairly. They judge it a bit unfairly. So, what's in terms of your frustration with that? Is there anything that the governing bodies are looking to do to change that outlook? Because it seems like it's something that constantly happens.
Yeah, it happens, hey. The thing is, like, hey, when these things happen, the manager, he can appeal the decision. He can appeal the decision, and then if it's a title fight, then that organization can look at that decision, and then a boxer can either get a rematch
Hmm.
for that. Yeah, they can get a rematch, but then some organizations, they just let the outcome be like that. So it just depends on how the fight went, and then if you have a good manager who can fight for you when certain things happen, then it's good. But then like you just have to wait for the outcome and then check like a way forward with that organization.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. I think one of the biggest robberies for me was when Tulani Mbenge fought in Germany. I don't know if you watched
Oh,
that fight. For,
yeah.
that was an absolute. That was one of the worst boxing results I've seen, and I've seen a lot of boxing matches that have gone the other way. And I think the judges let the crowd get to them. If you was to touch him up with a jab, in the body, the crowd would just go ballistic. And I think that swayed the judges to make that poor decision from the ninth round. I remember screaming at the TV, just finish him, finish him, finish him. And it's something
Yeah.
that needs to be spoken about. So I do also cover mixed martial arts, and there's a conversation happening in mixed martial arts. I want to find out if you would be interested in knowing about that, which is they are talking about an open scoring system. So they say boxing or mixed martial arts is a sport. Why don't we have a scoreboard that actually shows round for round what is actually happening, so that we avoid having some of these scenarios where just before the judges come back with their scorecards, it is known that they can actually go back to some rounds and alter them, not out of malice or to cheat, but just something would have swayed their decision. So do
Yeah.
you believe that a live scoreboard is a need in boxing?
Yeah, it is. It is a need. Normally with WBC, the WBC ratings, like the WBC title fights, after every 4 rounds, they give the scores, to the corners, so you can check that after 4 rounds, this is how the fight is going so far, and
Okay.
then but then this other three organizations, they don't do that. It's only the BC who have that rule.
So you'd welcome having a live scoreboard where even us, the fans at home, can actually see that, oh my goodness, this is what's happening. Not
Yeah,
just to share with the corners,
yeah,
but let us know, because in soccer, we know, we see it. When
yeah,
things are happening, even if it's a review, we see the replays, etc. So it's interesting to hear you say that
yeah.
you'd be interested in that. Speaking of MMA, do you watch mixed martial arts, UFC, EFC? Do you watch that sport?
Yeah, I
Has
do.
it appealed to you?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes, like even today, I was watching their fight camp. What this countdown with
Yeah.
yeah. So
Faiz
I was
Jacobs and
watching that.
Sylvester Chifumbu.
Yes, I
Okay.
was watching that, and also like internationally, like Adesanya and the other guys. This African guys are also watching them.
Mm-hmm.
So I do get like a bit of there and there of what's happening in the EFC and also in the UFC, because I do have friends who do EFC
Yeah.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I
so
used to
so
train.
so you're not one of those boxers that's a purist and believes that these guys are barbarians and they're savages. You don't
Nah,
subscribe to that notion.
no. Nah, I don't. Because I did put on some few rounds with the Pena back in 2017
Uh-huh.
and 2018. Yes, I was sparring with him. We used to come to the gym for sparring, and I was sparring with him. And also Boyd Allen, is a good oak of mine as well. So, and also the guy called Mamba, I was like, he come to the gym. So I do have some friends who play UFC, and then they come to the gym for sparring,
Yes, as well, just to
then
sharpen
like
their
we just,
skills.
yeah, yeah. So I do check those kind of combat sport, EFC, UFC. I do watch it.
It's good to know that there's respect from your side going to them. I know not a lot of fighters in terms of boxers don't like what mixed martial arts stands for, and I think it's purely the journalists who are specifically into boxing abroad and also here mainly in South Africa that I've spoken to. They don't really understand what it's all about, and they're not willing to learn what it's also all about and just understand what's going on. So just in closing, champ, when next do we see you in the ring?
Soon, hey, like this fight that just come up from, it was just a warm up fight, just to shake off the rim rust, because it's been a year since I last fought, before this fight. I'm number 3 in the world, and then we have something coming up. I can't mention it, but something big is gonna happen in the next few months. Something big, a big fight,
Are you gonna
is
give me
coming
the
up.
scoop so I can break it? Give it breaking news to South
Yeah,
Africa.
yeah. Like I will tell you once everything's finalized.
All right.
We're still negotiating, we're still negotiating. We're just waiting for the response from the organization, but a big fight is coming up. Hence I'm training, hence I've started training, already, because I know something big is coming.
Yeah, I get you. And just as a parting shot, with regards to negotiations, there are a lot of people that get very frustrated with boxers and boxing in general because some fights take so long to happen. Like right now, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury is a fight that was
Yo,
said was booked. The fighters signed a 2-fight contract back in March, but as it stands right now, there's nothing that's concrete. Um, does it frustrate fighters when these things delay, or are fighters part of the delay? Do they do things to make sure that these things don't happen on time?
some fighters are part of the delay. Like let's say, um, like Tyson Fury with Anthony Joshua. Like if you can check, like skill wise, we can give it to Tyson Fury, and then power, you can give it to Anthony Joshua. So with those two guys, like this fight has been dragging on for so long, and they've been getting like warm up fights, and also they build up the hype, you know, to the fight, so that when it happens, you can make good money on pay-per-view. So they're just building up the momentum, and also it depends on the person as well. Like a big fight like that, it needs money, and also boxers need to make money. So like they also build up their hype because we've been waiting for this fight, for so long,
So long,
and
yes.
nothing has been happening, and then it's he say they can't say this what, so they just building up the hype as well. They're just building up the hype.
So you're basically telling me that you are fine with it. You don't get frustrated because
Yeah.
we're
Nah, don't get
very
frustrated.
frustrated here as fans.
Nah, like that's what they want. They want
Mm.
people to be frustrated. They want people to be on the edge of their seats. That when this fight happening, and then when it does finally happen, they're gonna generate a lot of money
Mm.
when it happens. So
I
it
see.
doesn't really like frustrate them.
I
Yeah.
see. It's a sales gimmick now. All right. Champ,
Yeah.
before I ask you to close with whatever you want to say, any closing remarks from your side, I just want to let you know that you are free to come on the show anytime. I'm giving you you've got a revolving door. You can come on, we can chat and chop up anything you want to talk about as many times as you'd like. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Do you have anything that you want to just say in closing?
Yes, man. I just want to give a huge shout out to my sponsors, Astro Pairs South Africa and Telsteel, and also my management company, guys who manage me, MTK Global, MTK Africa, and to all my fans out there. I love you, and I have big news coming up. Just be patient. We're taking over this year,
No,
and yes, man, that's it.
we love you too, Mr. Lights Out. We look forward to seeing you reach and surpass the heights that you set in 2017. You set the bar very, very high. I'm loving what I'm seeing on the rankings. I just didn't know you look at them every day. I'm also going to copy you and look at them every day on your behalf. If there's anything that changes, I'll quickly DM you and let you know what's happening. But all the best. Stay blessed. Enjoy your fights. Don't forget to rest and get that mental fortitude going. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Lights Out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, my brother. Take care.
No problem. Bye bye.
Bye.